He talks about this clash between what he calls foolishness and those who are rejected.
Foolishness.
Yeah, it's like his term for these destructive behaviors and mindsets that he sees becoming more prevalent.
Does he give any specific examples of what he considers foolishness?
He does, but it's where things can get kind of controversial.
How so?
Well, he challenges this idea that we have to stay loyal to certain groups or cultures, even if we no longer agree with what they're promoting.
Even if you've always identified with that group, you're saying?
Yeah, even then. He argues that blind loyalty can actually be really harmful.
Harmful to individuals and to society as a whole.
That's what he's suggesting. And he gets really personal to illustrate this point.
He talks about that friend who was cheating on his girlfriend, right?
That's the one. He basically says he couldn't stay silent about it, even though it meant losing a friend.
Wow, that's a pretty strong stance.
It is. But it shows how seriously he takes this idea of aligning your actions with your values.
Yeah. It's like he's saying you can't just turn a blind eye to things you believe are wrong.
And that even your personal relationships should reflect those values.
So it's not just about what you say, it's about who you choose to spend your time with.
Exactly. And that same idea of personal responsibility seems to play a big role in his views on politics, too.
Right. He talks about how the last election revealed this huge realignment happening.
With people from all different backgrounds breaking away from those traditional party lines.
And he sees that as a rejection of identity politics.
Yeah. He thinks people are starting to vote more based on their beliefs and less on those old categories.
So it's not about being black or white or Democrat or Republican. It's about finding candidates who share your values.
Exactly. And he's especially critical of what he sees as the Democratic Party's approach.
He thinks they've become too focused on pandering to certain groups.
And he doesn't mince words about it either.
He calls out some pretty specific examples of politicians he thinks are using manipulative tactics.
It's like he's saying, look, I'm not buying it anymore.
Yeah, he wants to see more genuine respect and less of what he sees as empty gestures.
And he's really advocating for this idea of judging people based on their character and their actions rather than their group affiliation.
So a more meritocratic approach.
I think that's a good way to put it. He's not saying that people haven't faced real discrimination or hardship.
But he's questioning whether constantly focusing on those narratives is actually helpful in the long run.
Like maybe it's keeping people stuck in a victim mentality.
And preventing them from reaching their full potential.
That's the idea. He thinks embracing personal responsibility is ultimately more empowering.
It's about taking ownership of your life and your choices rather than blaming external factors.
Exactly. And that seems to be a recurring theme throughout all of his videos.
It's really making me rethink some of my own assumptions about these issues.
Me too. It's definitely challenging conventional wisdom.
So what stands out to you as being particularly insightful or provocative?
You know, one thing that really hit me was his critique of how certain politicians use the language and imagery.
Oh yeah, he talks about how they often appeal to specific demographics in ways that can be kind of offensive.
Like they're playing on stereotypes or trying to manipulate people's emotions.
And he sees that as being really disrespectful.
Yeah, he's calling for a more authentic and respectful approach to political discourse.
One that treats people as individuals capable of thinking for themselves.
Not just as members of some monolithic group that can be easily swayed by empty promises.
It's like he's saying, don't be a sheepthink for yourself.
Exactly. Don't just blindly follow the crowd. Question everything.
And align yourself with people and ideas that genuinely resonate with your values.
That's powerful stuff.
It is. And it's something we could all probably stand to hear a little more often.
Absolutely. And speaking of things we need to hear more often, he also has some interesting things to say about the role of the media.
Oh yeah. This is where his critique of the victimhood mentality really comes into play.
He thinks certain media outlets and political figures are deliberately promoting that mindset.
To advance their own agendas.
That's his argument. Like they're profiting from keeping people feeling angry and resentful.
It's a pretty bold claim.
It is, but he raises some valid points about how constantly focusing on victimhood can be detrimental.
It can make it harder to move on and create positive change.
Right. It can keep people trapped in a cycle of blame and negativity.
So it's not about denying that injustice exists.
No, it's about finding a way to acknowledge those injustices while also empowering people to move forward.
To take control of their own lives and create a better future.
And he uses this really powerful analogy to illustrate this point.
The one about his own experience with addiction.
Yeah, he talks about how he had to stop blaming others for his problems.
And take responsibility for his own choices.
Right, and that's when he was finally able to break free from that destructive cycle.
So he's basically saying that we all have that same power within us.
The power to choose a different path.
To overcome our challenges and create a better life for ourselves.
Exactly, and that's where the real hope lies.
It's not about pretending that everything is perfect.
It's about recognizing that we have the ability to make things better.
Even in the face of adversity.
Exactly.
So what do we do with all of this? How do we apply these insights to our own lives?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah. It's one thing to hear these ideas, but it's another thing to actually put them into practice.
I think it starts with becoming more aware of the influences around us.
The media, social media, the people we surround ourselves with.
All of it. We need to be more conscious of the messages we're absorbing.
And more discerning about which voices we choose to listen to.
Exactly. And then it's about making choices that are aligned with those values.
Choices about how we spend our time, our energy, our money.
And how we treat other people.
It's about being intentional about the kind of world we want to create.
Both for ourselves and for future generations.
So it sounds like we're not just talking about individual change here, but also about kind of a collective shift in how we think about these things.
Right. He's not just saying, hey, you need to get your act together. It's more like he's calling for a complete reevaluation of our societal values.
Like a fundamental change in how we approach these issues.
Exactly. He's saying we need to move away from those old ways of thinking that have been holding us back.
And embrace a new paradigm based on personal responsibility, individual empowerment, and a more nuanced understanding of complex issues.
Yeah, and one of the key things he emphasizes is the importance of critical thinking.
Like not just blindly accepting everything we're told.
Right. We need to be more skeptical, more discerning, more willing to question the narratives that are being presented to us.
Especially in this age of information overload, where it's so easy to get caught up in the echo chamber of social media.
He's urging us to break free from that, to seek out diverse perspective, and to engage in those difficult conversations, even when they make us uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, don't be afraid to challenge your own beliefs.
And don't just surround yourself with people who always agree with you.
Because that's how we learn and grow.
Exactly. And he also points out that not all voices are created equal.
Right. We need to be able to distinguish between credible sources and those that might have ulterior motives.
He even talks about how some media outlets and political figures deliberately manipulate information to advance their own agendas.
It's like he's saying, don't be so naive.
Yeah, wake up and pay attention.
Think for yourself.
And don't let yourself be manipulated by those who are trying to exploit your emotions or your biases.
It's a pretty powerful message.
It is. It's about taking back our power as individuals.
And becoming more informed, more engaged, and more resilient in the face of all the challenges we're facing.
And I think that's a really important message for everyone to hear.
Absolutely. This deep dive has been quite a journey.
It has. We've covered a lot of ground.
And I have to say I've learned a lot.
Me too. It's definitely challenged my thinking in a lot of ways.
So as we wrap things up,
yeah,
what's the one thing that really stood out to you from all?
You know, for me, it's that idea of personal responsibility as a pathway to empowerment.
Yeah. He really hammers that point home, doesn't he?
He does. But I think it's a really important message because it's not about denying that systemic issues exist.
Or pretending that everything is fair and equal.
No, it's about recognizing that even within those systems, we still have choices to make.
Choices that can either keep us trapped in a cycle of victimhood
or empower us to create a better future for ourselves.
And that choice is ultimately up to us.
He leaves us with a really thought-provoking question, actually.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
How can we move beyond those simplistic labels?
Like black and white, Democrat and Republican, all of that.
Right, and engage in more nuanced conversations about these really complex societal issues.
Because the truth is there's a lot more diversity of thought within those groups than we often acknowledge.
And until we start recognizing that
and really listening to each other,
we're not going to be able to make any real progress.
That's a powerful message to end on.
It is. It's a call to action.
To be more open-minded, more compassionate, and more willing to engage in those difficult conversations.
Even when they make us uncomfortable.
Because that's how we create real change.
And build a better world for everyone.
All right, so today we're diving into something pretty interesting, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's this deep dive is going to be about a single YouTube video.
Okay.
And the video is titled The Democratic Brainwashing of Black America. And it's from the channel Aquarius Wave.
Interesting.
So you may be thinking one YouTube video, that's all we're covering.
Right.
But this video is packed with claims about why Black Americans vote so overwhelmingly for the Democratic Party. And, you know, the speaker believes that Black Americans actually largely hold conservative values.
Oh, that's fascinating, right? Like it's this kind of paradox.
Yeah.
He sees this disconnect between values and then, you know, actual voting behavior.
Yeah, and he even throws out some like specific numbers too.
Okay.
He talks about this fictional 2024 election where 92% of Black women and 80% of Black men voted Democrat,
Wow.
which is, you know, a huge majority.
Yeah, you can really sense his surprise in the video.
Yeah.
Like, you know, why aren't these voters moving more towards the center or the right? Like maybe some other groups who, you know, used to be considered more traditionally liberal.
Right, right. And so to like get to the bottom of this,
Yeah.
he goes way back in time
Okay.
and brings up the history of the Democratic Party.
Hmm.
And this is where I think things get a little bit controversial.
Okay.
He links the Democratic Party to the Confederacy.
Wow.
Jim Crow laws, the KKK.
So he's really painting a very stark picture here.
Right. And it's almost like he's trying to like shock us,
Yeah.
you know, to rethink these as assumptions we might have about the Democratic Party.
Right. And by, you know, connecting these horrific parts of history with the party,
Yeah.
it's, you know, he's really creating a very specific narrative,
Yeah.
one that's going to, you know, stir up a lot of feelings.
For sure. And he doesn't stop there.
Oh, really?
He even brings up Planned Parenthood,
Mm.
saying that it's, you know, designed to limit Black empowerment.
It seems like he's trying to, like, you know, connect these very different dots.
Yeah.
You know, historical figures, organizations, political events
Yeah.
into this larger sort of overarching theory.
And it brings us to like one of the most, I think, powerful phrases that he uses, the Democratic plantation.
Yeah, that's a loaded term.
Yeah.
Right? It suggests that Black Americans are like stuck in this system that's working against them.
Yeah.
Almost like they're trapped, you know, like on a plantation.
It's a strong analogy for sure, and I can see why some people would be really offended by that.
Right.
But I'm curious, do you think there's any merit to this at all?
Mm.
Like, could there be these systems in place
Yeah.
that are maybe unintentionally holding certain groups back?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
And it gets to like the core of what the speaker is trying to say.
Okay.
He's really emphasizing the power of belief systems
Okay.
to shape our reality.
He even says at one point,
Yeah.
the only system that is oppressing anybody is the belief system,
Wow.
which is like,
That's a big statement.
yeah, it's like if we can just change our beliefs,
Yeah.
we can change our circumstances.
But is it really that easy?
Right.
Is it that simple?
Well, it's definitely a thought-provoking idea.
Yeah.
And to illustrate this point about belief systems,
Okay.
he brings in something very personal,
Oh, okay.
his own experience as a recovering addict.
Interesting.
He talks about how the people that he thought were supporting him were actually enabling his behavior, which was, you know, self-destructive.
Right.
And then he connects that to
The Democratic Party.
to Black Americans in the Democratic Party.
Wow. Okay, so he's suggesting that
Yeah.
in a way the Democratic Party is doing the same thing
Yeah.
to Black Americans that his friends and family were doing to him.
Yeah, they're enabling them to stay in this cycle
Yeah.
that's ultimately harming them.
Even if it's, you know,
Yeah.
with good intentions.
So he's saying it might not even be intentional.
Right.
It's just this like system that's been set up.
Yeah. Do you think that comparison works? Like, is it fair to...
I don't know. It's
Yeah.
definitely a bold move to bring in those personal struggles
Yeah.
into this political discussion.
For sure.
It makes you wonder how much our own personal experiences shape our political views.
It definitely does.
What do you think?
I think it's safe to say that they do influence us.
Yeah.
But, you know, he doesn't stop at just his personal story.
Right.
He goes on to criticize the media.
Yeah, he really takes aim at what he calls the left-wing media
Okay.
and accuses them of pushing this false narrative, especially when it comes to people like Donald Trump.
It's interesting. This is a very common theme.
Yeah.
You hear from people who feel like they're not being represented in like mainstream media.
Right.
You know, they see bias everywhere. They feel like certain voices are being silenced.
He gives this example of 60 Minutes
Hmm.
on CBS and how they allegedly edited an interview with Kamala Harris
Oh, yeah.
to fit their agenda.
So he's not just talking about politics here.
No.
He's saying this is like distorting reality for everyone.
Right. And it's preventing us from seeing the truth.
Yeah. Which is, you know, a pretty serious accusation.
Yeah, it is. And it's interesting how he frames this whole thing.
Yeah.
He's not just presenting these, you know, dry facts and figures.
Okay.
He's really leaning into the emotional side of things. And he's arguing that, you know, people are persuaded more by feelings than by evidence.
That's a really good point. How much of the political landscape do you think is shaped by emotion rather than logic?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Something to consider for sure.
And by focusing on this emotional dimension, it's almost like he's suggesting that the Democratic plantation isn't just about policies.
Right.
It's also about a carefully crafted narrative.
Right.
To, elicit those specific emotional responses.
Exactly.